Hello dear learners, today we are going to discuss the poetic devices of the poem A Thing of Beauty. This is the part 2 as we have discussed the explanation of the same poem in part 1 video. So let us discuss the poetic devices from the same poem. Dear learners, we are going to discuss very first poetic device here, that is alliteration. In the beginning, where actually it is being used by the poet. So dear learner, all of you know where actually alliteration is being used or what actually an alliteration is. First of all, let us know the definition. Use of consonant sound at the start of two words. At the start of two words. As used in the poem here, and moreover which are close in series, Let us discuss what actually the poetic devices have been used in this poem and where actually the alliteration is being used. The very first one in the poem, like sweet, sleep, S. Then in band, bind, band to bind, B. After that, some shape of beauty we have studied, S. We have studied sprouting shady, S. We have studied cooling covered, C. We have studied have, heard, H. And last but not the least, we have studied noble nature. So I think, dear learners, you have come to know now the uses of alliteration here in the poem A Thing of Beauty. So now let us move to the second poetic device which is being used by the poet here, and that is anaphora poetic device. And what actually anaphora is? Use of same word in two consecutive lines, that is called anaphora. As in the poem, for example, they have used of noble natures, and the very next line also begins from of all the unhealthy. So dear learners, this will be called the uses of anaphora poetic device. So now let us move to the next poetic device. The third one is here, that is called imagery poetic device. What actually imagery means here? Creating a sensory effect of beautiful things, that is called imagery, a kind of mental or visual representation by a person, that is called imagery. Like for example, sprouting a shady boon, that is also an imagery, which means trees gives us shade. And the next one is daffodils with the green world, world they live in. Daffodils with a green world they live in. That is also imagery. Means growing process of daffodils is also known as imagery. And then we have studied clear rills. Clear rills is also a imagery. Poetic device means clean river of streams. Next we have studied pouring from the heavens brink. That is also called imagery. Means God is providing us with the best things. So dear learners, these all is known as imagery, poetic device, which poet has used throughout the poem. So now let's move to the next one. Next poetic device. Next poetic device is, as I have told you when I was reading the poem in the part 1 video, and that is called inversion. Inversion. What actually an inversion is? Inversion is when normal order of words is reversed. That is called inversion. And what is the example of it? Example we have studied in the poem. Are we rathing a flowery band? That we have studied. That's called inversion. Dear learners, you can see here normal orders are being reversed here. Are we rathing without question mark. Instead of writing we are rathing, they have written are we rathing. So it is inversion. So let us move to the next one here. After it, antithesis. Antithesis poetic device. What actually antithesis means? Opposite words. Opposite words placed together. Opposite words placed together. And example we have studied old and young trees. Old and young trees, that's called antithesis. That can be also asked in the examination. Now let's move to the next part of the video. Means here next poetic device. After it, we are going to discuss the question which can be asked in the examination. Mention the beautiful things. Mention the beautiful things which is being mentioned in the poem. So which are the beautiful things mentioned by the poet? Like we have studied the sun, we have studied the moon, we have studied shady trees, and we have studied beautiful daffodil flowers. We have studied streams of water. All these are the symbols of beautiful things. Streams of water. And we have studied dense green bushes. That is also beautiful. And last but not the least, we have studied tales of heroic men. Which heroic men they are? Who sacrifices their lives. Who sacrifice their lives. So dear learners, the question can be asked, mention the beautiful things mentioned by the poet in the chapter or in the poem. So the next one is the question which can be asked in the examination, and the question is list the things which cause or that cause suffering and pain. So let us discuss which points have been mentioned. The very first one is desire to offend others. Desire to offend others, the very first reason. Second, we have studied hopelessness is also the cause of suffering. Next we have studied bad health. Next we have studied unhappiness. Then we have studied gloom. We have studied darkness. So these are the causes which create, you can say, sadness throughout the poem which we have studied. So the next one is, next one, dear students, is epigram. Epigram, poetic devices. What actually it means? A short witty statement. A short and witty statement. Either it can be in verse or it can be in prose too, which may be complimentary, which can be complimentary. It can be satiric also. Now you're gonna ask, sir, where actually the epigram has been used in the poem? And it is the very first line of the poem. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Is a joy forever. So this is here epigram which has been used. Now the next one is oxymoron. Oxymoron, poetic device. Where actually it is used? First, the definition of it. Oxymoron, what actually it is? A figure of speech. Oxymoron is a figure of speech where actually it is being used, which combines incongruous and apparently contradictory words. Contradictory words, that is oxymoron. And where actually it is being used in the poem oxymoron, we have studied mighty dead. So both these words are contradictory to each other. So there we can say oxymoron is being used. So dear learners, so these are the poetic devices which can be asked in the examination by the examiner. Hope all of you have learned it and enjoyed the video. Keep sharing and liking the video for many more. Thank you. Have a nice day.